Alright, in this video I'll be installing new tuners into this Squier Stratocaster Mini. These are also Squier tuners, they're not fancy Fender ones or anything like that, and I got them off Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks, but they came off a full-sized version of a Squier, so they're a little bit better tuners than what's on here. They're more similar to the tuners that come on the Squier Mini now, but the ones that are on this are terrible. I also got some Ernie Ball strings, I'll throw those on as well, just because I took these strings off and they're very old, so we'll swap them out. Not too much to these things. There's no screw to hold things in place. The cylinder has a nut and there is a washer that holds everything together, and then there's two protrusions, and those are going to have to correspond to holes that I'm going to have to drill into the headstock of the guitar. And that's pretty much all there is to these things. For these new tuners, I do need to make the bore hole in the headstock a little bit larger, because these old ones have a very small bore hole. To get these old tuners out, there's two screws for each tuner, and I'm using a eyeglass repair kit or a small electronics repair kit. I don't know what it's really for, but it works in this application, and obviously there's 6 tuners to take out, so there's 12 screws. And then for each of the bore holes within this type of tuner, there is a bushing, so those need to be popped out as well. And like I said, these bore holes are all too small, so I need to upsize them a little bit. I don't go straight for the biggest drill bit that'll fit for this. I actually take it up one drill bit at a time, so as not to get too aggressive with the material and to not damage the headstock at all. You do need to be careful so that you don't chip out any of the headstock, because that would obviously not look great. And the drill bit that I used as the final size for the bore holes is a 3/8 inch drill bit. And obviously I do all 6 of them. With the 3/8 inch drilled hole, they do fit in. They are a little bit tight, so I do take a Dremel tool and just clean up the holes a little bit. And obviously it's going to expand the hole a little bit, and that'll make it so that the tuner still has a snug fit, but it won't be so tight that they're difficult to remove later, or you have to force them in to get them to actually seat into the guitar. So just like that, they fit in. They're not loose, but they're not overly tight either. And then to get everything lined up, I'm just going to take a straight edge and make sure everything looks squared away, and that one isn't off on a little funky angle or something like that. So make them all look good, and then I will move on to the next part, which is be drilling the small holes for those little protrusions on the back side of the tuners. And then I'm going to push down on the tuner sort of firmly so that those protrusions on the tuner actually make small indentations on the headstock, and then I'll just mark those indentations, obviously making sure not to move the other tuners while I'm doing that, just marking it with a pencil, and then I will drill out a small hole for those indentations. Obviously I'm not going all the way through. About 1 centimeter into the wood is about all I go. And for those smaller holes, I'm obviously using a smaller drill bit, and the one I settled on was a 1/8 inch drill bit. So again, everything's still fairly tight, but it's not so tight that I need to use a great deal of force to get them in. And since everything's drilled, it's obviously a little bit too late, but I'll just check them and make sure that they're all square, and of course they are. I couldn't find any maple colored wood filler at Lowe's, so I got something called natural wood filler. It's pretty good. Certainly it's good enough for this guitar. After I put the wood filler in, I just came around with a damp paper towel instead of doing sanding and removed all the filler that was on the wood, so it's just in the holes. And obviously these tuners are going to hide most of that wood filler anyway. There's maybe one that you could still sort of see once the tuner's in, so it's not really a big deal. So I'll put all the tuners in place, and then each tuner has a washer. So I will throw a washer onto the tuner. And then there's a barrel nut that screws down into place, and I do come around and tighten those up with I believe I used a 10mm wrench. But anyway, I come around and tighten all those up. So now I'll get the strings out and I'll put all those on. This isn't a stringing video, it's a tuner's video, but suffice it to say I do get all the strings on. So overall, having these tuners on for about a week, I could say that the guitar actually stays in tune, whereas the old tuners that came with this Squier, the guitar would be out of tune within a matter of minutes after you started playing it. If you left it for an hour or so, it'd be way out of tune. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.